All right, happy Friday, everybody. It's Thursday night when we're recording this, but we wanted to get this out the week after DMSC and CXO Summit. We just earlier today did a recap, like an internal recap with the team that couldn't make it, and we figured let's do another one for our clients and everybody else that didn't get a chance to go. Just to start off, I want to talk about my overall experience. So I think this is my fifth automotive event. I went to Digital Dealer, AAAS, NAMAD, NADA, but this one was by far my favorite conference. And I don't know I think it was because it's the perfect audience for Orbee. A little bit smaller, great venue, and we had plenty of opportunities to geek out, like with Gary Ledoux at Modern Automotive. So, what did you think, Atul? Like the conversations you had, the people you met, what was your experience?
This was also my first DMSC, and previously I had just done my first AAAS before it's getting renamed to Modern Retailing. But this was profound experience for me because the level of conversation was much higher. I could sort of skip a lot of the prerequisites to be in digital marketing in automotive. Now, obviously, we're all learning, and there's a lot of stuff outside of automotive that we're all going to kind of put to use and share with each other. But it was really amazing to have been invited by Brian Pash to speak at the CXO Summit on Saturday, where the audience was very much the sort of decision makers of marketing at these large organizations. I'd say 500 rooftops covered in that conversation. And then, of course, the rest of the event was even, more exciting because it broadened the landscape a little bit. And we spoke to, a dealership out in Canada, an independent, all the way to some of the largest groups out there. And so it was great to see the spectrum and listening to the panels. I've been to events where you kind of skip the actual conversations and the workshops, but this was good because it really gave you insights into what people were doing, what the conversations are, what other sort of dealer partners, other vendors like us are providing. And it sort of helped really paint the bigger picture of what opportunity we have in front of us. And
Yeah,
so that was really exciting.
yeah. So let's talk about the panel that you got to be a part of. So it was around marketing automation and measurement. I know you were on a panel with some really great people, and you wanted to say a lot more. It's kind of tough. I think you had maybe like five sort of turns at speaking, and it's always like that. Everybody takes a turn. You got to play nice. But was there anything you want to add that you didn't get to say about that topic?
Yeah, so Glenn Pash really did a great job, trying to put together this panel, and we had some prep work, but a lot of it was actually ad hoc. So I think I'm proud of participating in the rest of the group that was there. Tom Kerr, Lisa from Dealer Alchemist, Phil from Drivonic, and Brendan from Effect TV. But yeah, you're right. Like there's limitations on what you can say, and just kind of the politics of being up there. I was talking a lot about fees, agency fees, and what automation really means for the dealership. And if we were to really dig in, which I'd like to do today here in this conversation, we'd actually uncover that there's a tremendous opportunity for dealers to save money, improve efficiencies, increase their customer experience, and really not just save money to put in the pockets, but to actually try even bigger automated automation related capabilities like data enrichment and so forth. But I want to mention something. So on the website, the panel description was actually recent advances in anonymous shopper identification and advanced first party data strategies are changing the way marketing is deployed and targeted today. Dealers who are interested in seeing the very best ideas, tech, and results should be in attendance. So I think one thing is I miss providing real results that we've seen with automation with our clients.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because all of this ties into anonymous shopper identification, taking control and leveraging your first party data and all of that. So, it's very so if I were to sort of explain a couple of things, I think marketing automation has some really key benefits, right? Number one, it it actually makes it easier on the dealer. This is not about set it and forget it. We talked a lot about is set it and forget it sort of the antithesis of automation, right? Is it what ruins the whole party? But I actually think that when you split your advertising and your strategy into two buckets, you have an automation side and then you have a non-automated side. And the automation side is really based on a lot of what Google and Facebook and now Pinterest and other platforms are already doing for our vertical and other verticals, right? When you think about Google responsive ads, you think about Facebook's carousel and their retargeting, a lot of this stuff is actually set it and forget it because it's actually very systematic. The retargeting of if you're looking at taking a trip to Disney Ulani and then actually retargeting you with banner ads for an X period of time while you're in that shopping journey for a vacation in the summer makes perfect sense. You don't really do crazy campaign analytics on that. You're just checking to see, are you retargeting properly? Are those visitors returning? What are they doing when they're returning? So I'll tell you, one of our dealers that we just launched VLAs with, we are actually seeing that many of them are looking at 2 to 3 vehicles on average when they land on the site. And same thing goes with Facebook. And we're actually seeing some good conversions on that. And remember, when you retarget, you're actually getting reconversions. These are not the automated leads that are resurfaced like Orbee does, right? We take people who show signals on the website and then we get a new lead. In fact, Chris, you and I get HubSpot leads all the time that are like re-leads.
Mhm.
And this is not that. This is someone actually revisiting from automated marketing with retargeting at Google or Facebook or others like Pinterest and landing on the site and then re-upping their relationship with the dealer, filling out the form again. And
Mhm.
there's so much opportunity with that. And we're seeing some great results with that automation. But again, I want to emphasize that it's not about the the more specific campaigns, the seasonal campaigns, the specials, and so forth. There is a lot to be done with those automated campaigns that social and search really offer dealers to do very easily. You really need
Yeah.
software, not an agency.
Yeah, it definitely takes uh, the burden off of marketers because I'm a design major. I don't know if you can tell by the intro. Just whipped that up today, but I went to school for that, and there was always this correlation between design and marketing, and I think there will always be a place for that. But when we talk about VLAs, Pinterest shopping ads, in automotive, a lot of ads that can be automated don't require creative. I think you said it on the panel. It's simply inventory feed pushes into these platforms and your ads out there. So getting this automation set up is going to save you so much time to focus on other strategies and the things that and so you can actually like measure how some of these things are doing. So yeah, anything else you want to add before we talk about CXO Summit? You're muted. All right, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I do want to emphasize. Sorry about that. The user, the consumers that you're retargeting, right? We talked a lot about social and search, and honestly, it's an area that I spent a lot of time on because everyone could relate to it because there's a lot of that going on.
Mhm.
But what the reason why I read the original panel description and what I want to talk about around email marketing automation, I think is another big area. So when you actually use your own marketing capabilities, right? There's a sort of a known term. I actually am now rolling it all into marketing instead of using the word advertising. In fact, if we think about SEM, right, search engine marketing, it's still the more universal term. But you have ads that you run on Google and Facebook and everywhere else, and connected TV and so forth. But then you also have the ability to bring marketing capabilities. That's your email, the stuff that you use your first party data for. So what we do, right, is we help dealers activate their existing data from their CRM, from their DMS. We are able to basically communicate to these consumers on the dealer's behalf. So this isn't a service where we sell leads. This is the dealer actually getting our software and deploying email capabilities. And what happens is every time a user clicks on that or reacts, they become identified. And then if you've ever gotten an email from your retailers, Best Buy, Home Depot, these are the ones that I get, and it reminds you what you left in your cart. It reminds you what you might want to buy because you did this last year. It reminds you some specials related to a product that you looked at. Well, we do that for dealers, and dealers should take advantage of that because the open rates are through the roof. And we have a big dealership group out in Florida that not only sends campaign-based emails that are less automated, but they also, the more of these you send, the more identities you gather, and then the more automation you could have that gets them back to the website. And this stuff is working. We're seeing tremendous results. I was showing the dealer group just on page by page of every single person that got that email down to their email address and who opened it, who clicked on it, and the click-through rates are tremendous. So the results around automation are pretty powerful. And to think that this is done without the dealer having to manually edit anything, we think this is definitely an area that dealers need to concentrate on.
Yeah, it's another cost-effective thing too, because the last thing you want to do is pay for the same shopper multiple times. You're just throwing money into ads, and it's obvious that the social platforms will keep taking it. Your agencies will, gladly spend that money, but there's other ways to bring shoppers back. So
yeah,
it's very important. All right.
And CXO, you were asking. So
yes.
CXO, yeah. So this was the first experience of mine, Brian. I had the privilege of being invited by Brian Pash to come speak, and it was all around GLB, GLBA. So this is all the new privacy rules, that privacy and security safety rules. Now, if you think about it, Twitter just got fined $150 million.
Yeah.
And it seems like an honest mistake, right? Hey, I'm going to ask Chris for your phone number to do two-factor authentication. I'm also going to ask for your email just in case I need to give you a backup code or just send you a newsletter. But what happened is, now that you have this data set of PII, they're like, well, let's help advertisers target these people using the phone number that was asked of you for security reasons. And again, I say honest mistake because imagine if the FTC took a moment to look at dealerships. They'd be like, so how did you get this information? I mean, and there's already really bad stuff happening, right? Like, hey, I'm going to identify you, and users getting identified from scratch and not being alerted that they might get marketed to. There's a lot of these companies out there. We met one at the event, right, Chris? Which was like, yeah, I'm going to identify anonymous people out of the blue, not from the CRM data, not from the existing relationships. And then I'm going to send those people emails. Well, first of all, there was no consent on that. And secondly, yeah, it's better than conquest because these visitors came. but you got to be a little bit smarter with that. So anyway, the Twitter fine is, I think, a wake up call. It just actually was announced today or maybe yesterday. But at CXO, Brian and I concentrated on GLBA compliance, the laws around protecting PII that is given to you by the consumer. And ultimately the consumers don't know that they're giving their information to this long sort of daisy chain of partners and providers. They think they're giving it to the dealer. And one, the consent needs to be improved. But two, dealers need to actually flip the script and become the system that these leads are actually sent to. And every vendor who needs access to that should not actually get the PII itself. They should get this alternative ID number, right? So I talked a little bit about my history, having been the co-founder of Journaya, which had Lead ID, and how Lead ID transformed a lot of the lead business. And large companies like Quicken and LendingTree and so forth, they all came to the table saying, hey, we're in on this new initiative. And it drove change. And so I told, this group of amazing sort of thought leaders and people always open to really new ideas, that you could go back to the vendor ecosystem and you could actually say, hey, get ready. I'm going to flip the script coming near to December 9th when the deadline's there. I want all my forms to actually post to my servers. I want the chats to load from my servers. I don't want to let any of this information be on your servers. And this is something that we're going to do. I'm super excited. It's almost like everything we built over the last 5 years is really leading into this perfect moment to give dealers this power.
Yeah, I think since NADA, we've tried to create awareness over this and give examples as to like why dealerships should take this seriously. And I thought CXO was the perfect place to do it because we believe the FTC is going to go after the people with the most exposure, the most amount of websites, the most amount of customer data. And in your last example, you were naming off like big companies like Quicken Loans. They got behind what you were working on because they don't want to feel the wrath of the FTC. And we talk about it just takes a couple incidences, even if they're
not even a couple, one.
And
I heard today, I just heard today that there's a large group that is in the midst of a data breach situation.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to give the FTC and the CFPB a opportunity to think again about dealerships and say, we put out this GLBA thing, I'm seeing this issue here. We really need to take a look. Who else is this size? And they'll be like, actually, you just go to automotive news and here's the top dealership. Yeah. All right, go through that list and let's really figure out what's going on underneath the hood. And like I said, during the CXO, the FTC's enforcement group and who they're hiring are younger. They understand this stuff. They understand cookies. They understand form fills. They understand APIs. They have, probably siblings that are in the tech business. They are going to go seek this out. It's like the new era of senators, but this is the FTC and the enforcement. So I think we all need to watch out. We need to take this seriously. And again, it was great meeting everyone there and spending time over dinner. And I learned a lot. And like you said, I was able to geek out with some, and I was able to just talk, future industry roadmap and franchise laws and where's this going and what can this data, what can these data regulations, how can these regulations influence the state franchise laws, and how we really need to get serious about PII. So great experience. And I think the rest of the event was awesome too. So if you're not, if you haven't attended one of these, I'd say it's an absolute must. And I think AAAS is renamed, and that one is something we plan to attend. Modern retailing, and then also it sounds like wasn't Brian and Glenn Pash trying to think about where to move this event next year?
Yeah, so it was really close, the live polling, and there was one on LinkedIn too, but it's close between Austin and Nashville. So we'll see. But until then, let's see. I think
Well,
there's
for me, out of Houston, it'll be a nonstop flight this time, so that'll be
yeah,
great.
be easy. Be easy. Well, we hit 20 minutes in our recap. I'll be sure to maybe leave some timestamps so people can kind of like jump around. But it's really hard to talk about all of this stuff, especially GLB and our plans to help dealers, get through that, prepare for that. It's really hard to explain that in a few minutes. And even at the event, Kevin Fry from Jeff Weiler Automotive Group, he asked us like, all right, so what do we do? It's like, man, we can't just like, it's tough. There's a process, and that's why we're getting started now. GLB's enforcement's not going in till December 9th, but we want to get started now. So if you have any questions, reach out to me, Atul, or Brian Davis, our director of sales. We're here to talk. We want to help you figure this out. So that's it. I think that's all for me. So
Yeah, thank you.
you can sign off.
Really good recap. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.